Today's video features Mark Roach, and as we talked, Mark told me that when he started leading worship, there was something that surprised him, really shocked him, about the whole responsibility of the job that he hadn't really seen coming. And honestly, as I have talked with worship leaders around the country, I've had many tell me the exact same thing that Mark is saying here. So take a listen to what he has to say.
When I was 24 when I started leading worship, and I never in a million years would have guessed that the dynamics and people skills was such a large part of the job. You know, I really wanted it to be about my gifts and my musical skills, my ability to make a band sound good, and my ability to be charismatic, if you will, in front of people, all that. I did not realize that in 2 years I'd be mediating soccer moms that couldn't get along. Honestly, like those were the things that blew my mind. So to me, one of the things that I tell young worship leaders is this is about people. You're going to be managing and loving on people. And it's so much bigger a part of your job than you could ever imagine. I was very comfortable in my own skin as a songwriter, as a singer. I probably shouldn't have been. I wasn't that great. But you know, I still had lots of learning to do there, but I was not ready for the management side of things. I say management, the group dynamic and people skills, and really the pastoring part of it, where you're walking alongside volunteers and having to answer to and make decisions with the filters of their needs and their concerns and their inadequacies and their attitudes and conflicts with each other. Those things were very, very strange to me, and I really did not expect for that to take up so much of my kind of per week time, or really just my brain matter. I got into scenarios and kind of had to step back and go, why am I at this man's house with his wife that are 20 years older than me, and we're crying, and they're telling me all the things that have hurt them about how I've led them the past year and a half. And you know, why is there so much miscommunication and so much misunderstanding? And then I found myself, I've always been a good talker. I've always been able to kind of pull myself out of situations and really always wanted people to give me the benefit of a conversation. And so when that happened, I was able to kind of massage, you know, those relationships and get through those things. And each time that happened, I think I learned something from them, and just started to develop the sense a couple of years in that this was a way bigger part of my job even than the music part of my job. You know, just just making sure that I understood how important it was that these volunteers and bandmates, and I'm sure it's the same just in a band, in a touring band. You've got to deal with those dynamics and those attitudes and everybody's opinions and artistic differences, and you know, it's all there. So you have to manage all of that stuff. And when you're managing not a band of 4 or 5, but you're managing, you know, now a dozen or now 20 or 30 plus volunteers, not only their schedules, but their opinions and their, you know, the group dynamic of how they interact with each other, it's a big deal. I direct a couple of bands, worship bands, at a local university, Missouri Baptist University. And 2 of the bands are kind of modern worship, one acoustic, one more of a full band. And so a lot of these students, I mean, they want to be worship leaders when they grow up. So it's wonderful to be in the face and in the ears of those students. And a couple of the kids, you know, they're doing internships, and some of them have more power, or I shouldn't say power, some of them have more responsibilities than others. And the ones that are really leading their departments as an intern, I mean, they're having some hilarious stories happen to them. You know, in the first 3 months of them working as a worship leader, people are walking in and trying to volunteer that morning with no rehearsal, and now they have to manage the dynamic of the group in the midst of that, on the spot. Those are the kind of things that we deal with. It can be tricky.
So I want you to think about that whole idea of managing people, of taking care of them. Some people would say pastoring the people, however you want to look at it. If you have not gotten to the place where you have recognized how big of a part that it plays in what you're doing as a worship leader, then this video will help you to, at least as you start getting there, and you'll start realizing it as time goes on, that this will at least give you a little bit of a heads up. But I want you to think about, what could this mean for you, and how do you get yourself to the place where you're able to do those kind of things? Maybe it means reading some things or listening to some podcasts about interacting with people and how you can do that and how to take care of people. Talk with your pastor about materials that he might recommend. There just might be some practical things that will make a difference for you over the long term in your situation, because like it or not, this is going to happen. This is going to be part of what you're doing. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to be a lot more difficult than if you are.
Brought to you by myworshipleadingcoach.com.
Helping you to be more fully equipped as a worship leader.